Joining us now is Brynta Ponn, body positivity advocate and influencer. Brynta, thank you so much for taking the time. Really great to have you and your perspective on the show tonight. You're, of course, the creator of that TikTok we just saw there. What were you seeing, I wonder, in the social media space that made you want to create this kind of content?
I was seeing not enough representation of people who look like me, whether it was my skin tone or my body type. And growing up, I grew up in the beginning of social media of that era. And it didn't change the way I needed it to. I didn't see myself represented at all. And I can only imagine the impact that it's having on young kids now, especially because social media is just a never ending feed of messaging. So if they're taking in all of this content and what all of this content is saying, I want it to be a part of a positive impact that they would possibly have.
I mean, Brynta, I thought there was a lot of pressure when we were young in terms of, not that there was necessarily social media so much, but in terms of just like the Hollywood sort of fascination that users, but this is a whole new ballgame. How do you see the challenges that young users of TikTok and Instagram are seeing today? Because I'd have to imagine the challenges that they are facing and therefore perhaps even the impact on mental health can be that much more severe than perhaps when we were young and we were growing up.
Oh yeah, totally. I grew up with television and with like magazines. You saw the Britney Spearses and the Paris Hiltons, but at least those were somewhat real. Those were like paparazzi shots of them in real life. You have now on social media edited videos, photoshopped videos and filters, and it's skewing their image it's skewing reality for them and what they think is reality. They're aiming for something that isn't attainable, and they're most likely going to have this skewed reality in their head. They're probably not going to have very much confidence, very much self-esteem. And I can imagine it can be very hard.
Talk to me a little bit more about filters. I've seen a lot of TikToks out there of people saying, I don't think I have a filter on, but it's doing something to my face. There's all this chatter, especially in the TikTok world, about even people who do know they're putting on a filter that are essentially being reflected back a false version of themselves. Have you heard from people who are directly being impacted by this? And what is your sense on what that impact means, not just for today, Brynta, but for the future of a lot of these young users?
Yeah, definitely. Filters go back to just needing more reality on these platforms. I use filters, but again, we have on Instagram now that transparency. You know when someone is using it. I think that's what we need. We need people saying that, it's okay to have fun. It's okay to use platforms and to use Instagram and to use social media this way, but come back to reality every now and then. Come back to what you look like and have a sense of acceptance and love for your body before you go using those things, because you definitely don't want them growing up thinking that those are changes that they need to make to their faces or to their bodies, because it's just not true.
Words are really important, the language we use to describe these things. And I'm curious from your perspective, is there even an inherent issue, a challenge, a problem with the emphasis we have on like hot summer bods and even hot girl summer? I mean, that's a phrase people have been using now for a couple of years, and it's kind of taken as a little bit tongue in cheek. But is that even in and of itself presenting some degree of a problem, you think?
Oh, definitely. I definitely think that, we grew up with this idea of having the perfect summer body, but now it's just taking on a new life because of social media. These messages are just being paraded to these kids on the platforms. And I can't imagine what it's doing to them or what they're thinking they need to change in order to just live their lives. They're probably thinking that they need to lose weight in order to put on a bikini or to go to the beach. But I think the positive through all that is if you sift through the negativity, you'll find the body acceptance and the body confidence movement or the body positivity movement. And you'll see that messaging of hot girl summer is a mentality. It's not a body. And you don't need to change in order to go to the beach. You don't need to lose weight in order to put on a bikini. So hopefully that is the messaging that finds them and the messaging that I hope has the most impact on them.
Hot girl summer is a mentality. I really like that. Before I let you go, I got to ask you, you were a speaker at the BodCon's inaugural virtual conference. What was your message largely, especially through this really important conversation of body positivity? What did you want people to know?
Honestly, that these conversations are needed and they're important, and that we need to continue to amplify various voices. What the BotCon did was it created a forum for these conversations. And I think that was really, really important. When they saw that these conversations were needed and people were being impacted by them positively, they went on to create different ways to continue these conversations, like podcasts and different events. And I think that is what we need. That's what brands and influencers need to be doing. They need to be finding different ways to continue these conversations and to just send that positive message to people.
Brynta Ponn is a body positivity advocate, an influencer, and an all-around amazing person, and an equally amazing guest. Thanks a lot for taking the time to be here tonight. I love this conversation. We'll do it again soon.